The knife slipped from my hand, clattering against the marble countertop like a gunshot in the quiet of our Brooklyn brownstone kitchen. Blood blooming dark and accusing across the cutting board where I'd been slicing tomatoes for dinner. Alex's arms wrapped around me from behind, his breath hot against my neck, but his eyes, God, those eyes, locked not on me, but on Jordan standing in the doorway, the ghost from my past who'd just let himself in with the spare key I'd never changed. "Too late to cry now, isn't it?" Alex murmured, his voice a velvet blade, lips curving into a smile that sliced deeper than any confession ever could. I froze, the world tilting on its axis as the scent of fresh basil mingled with the metallic tang of my own blood. A shallow nick on my thumb, nothing compared to the gash ripping through my chest. Jordan's face, boyish even at 30, crumpled like wet paper, his blue eyes wide with the same betrayal that had haunted us both back in high school. But Alex didn't let go. His grip tightened, possessive, as if I were the trophy in this twisted reunion. And in that instant, I realized the dinner we'd planned wasn't for us anymore. It was a stage, and they were the performers I'd unwittingly cast. The summer of 2007 in suburban Ohio wasn't kind to boys like me. Too skinny, too quiet, with a sketchbook full of charcoal drawings that hid crushes I couldn't name. Timothy Hargrove, that's me, 15 and fumbling through the fog of first love in a town where football fields were cathedrals and anything else was sin. Jordan Ellis crashed into my life like a meteor during freshman orientation. All golden hair and easy grins. The kind of kid who could quote Nirvana lyrics while acing geometry. We bonded over stolen smokes behind the bleachers, whispering secrets about families that didn't fit. His dad, the stern accountant who polished his golf clubs like they were holy relics. Mine, the factory worker who drowned his shifts in cheap whiskey and reruns of The Sopranos. By junior year, what started as shared mixtapes evolved into something electric. Our first kiss happened in the back of his beat-up Chevy, rain hammering the roof like applause, his hands tentative on my waist as if afraid I'd shatter. Timmy, he'd breathe, my nickname a prayer on his lips. This feels right, doesn't it? And it did, fierce and fragile, like holding lightning in your palms. We dreamed big, American dream big, escape to New York, where guys like us could walk hand in hand without whispers following like shadows. College applications were our rebellion, scrawled in late-night study sessions that dissolved into tangled sheets under the covers of my twin bed. But dreams have a way of curdling. Senior prom loomed, and Jordan's invite to the after-party at the lake house came with strings. His dad's expectations, the invisible noose of normalcy. I showed up in a thrift store tux, heart pounding, only to find him cornered by Sarah Jenkins, cheer captain with her peroxide waves and predatory smile. She draped herself over him like a claim, and he laughed. Too loud, too forced, his eyes darting to me across the bonfire, pleading wait. I didn't. The punch I threw landed square on his jaw, a crack that echoed louder than the fireworks bursting overhead. "You're ashamed?" I spat, tasting blood from my split lip. "And I'm done pretending it's okay." We didn't speak after that. Graduation came and went. I bolted for NYU on a partial scholarship, trading cornfields for concrete canyons, burying the ache in art classes and dive bar hookups. Jordan vanished into Ohio State, his Facebook profile a parade of frat parties and a girlfriend named Megan by sophomore year. I told myself it was for the best, better a clean break than a slow bleed. New York swallowed me whole. The subways rattle a lullaby, the Hudson's gleam a promise. I waitressed at a Soho bistro by day, sketched portraits in Washington Square Park by night, my lines growing bolder, my heart callousing over like old scar tissue. 5 years blurred into a rhythm of survival. That's when Alex Kane sauntered into my life, a whirlwind in tailored chinos and a smirk that could disarm a room. He was 26, a rising star at a boutique ad agency in Midtown, with Irish roots that lent his skin a perpetual sun-kissed glow and green eyes that sparkled like shamrocks under bar lights. We met at a gallery opening in Chelsea, me nursing a cheap Merlot, him critiquing a Rothko knockoff with the precision of a surgeon. "It's all smoke and mirrors," he said, clinking his glass to mine. "But damn if it doesn't make you feel alive." His laugh was infectious, pulling me under like a riptide. Our first date was quintessential New York, falafel from a truck on St. Mark's, a stroll through the East Village where graffiti whispered rebellions we'd both outgrown. He kissed me against a chain-link fence, unapologetic, his fingers threading through my hair as if he'd been mapping the stars there all along. "Your trouble, Timothy Hargrove," he teased, but his eyes said stay. And I did. Alex was everything Jordan hadn't been, out and proud, with a Rolodex of queer friends who threw brunches in lofts overlooking the skyline. He pushed me, "Submit that portfolio, babe." The world's waiting. Under his gaze, my sketches turned into exhibits, my waitressing gig into a junior graphic designer spot at a startup in Flatiron. We moved in together after 6 months, our one-bedroom in Brooklyn a nest of exposed brick and IKEA hacks. Mornings were coffee steam and his playlists, Springsteen crooning about Born to Run hearts that mirrored our own. Nights were tangled limbs and confessions. His coming-out story at 16, disowned briefly by a Catholic mom who came around with grandkids in tow. My Ohio ghosts, which I glossed over like faded tattoos. "The past is just backstory," he'd say, tracing my collarbone. "This is the plot twist, but plot twists have villains." Jordan resurfaced on a crisp October afternoon, 3 years into our bliss, via a LinkedIn ping that escalated to coffee at a cafe in Williamsburg. He'd traded frat boy flannel for a sleek suit, a marketing exec now at a firm poaching talent from Alex's agency. "Timmy," he said, unchanged voice cracking the air. "I Googled you. Saw the exhibit. You're incredible." His eyes, still that impossible blue, held apologies etched in fine lines. Divorce from Megan, a string of bad dates, the realization that Ohio had been a cage he'd built himself. I should have walked. Instead, I listened, the old pull like gravity. We met sporadically, lunches that stretched into walks along the promenade, where the Manhattan skyline mocked our small-town scars. Alex noticed the glow in my cheeks, chalked it up to the promotion. "You're shining, babe," he'd murmur over takeout Thai, oblivious to the fault lines cracking beneath us. Jordan confessed one rainy evening in a dimly lit bar off Bedford. "I was scared, Tim, of losing everything. But losing you, that was the real end." His hand brushed mine, electric as ever, and I pulled away not fast enough. The hook lodged deeper when Jordan's firm bid against Alex's on a major campaign. Boardrooms buzzed with rivalry, but off hours, Jordan's texts lit my phone. "Missed you at the pitch." Dinner? Alex came home late, Askew, venting about the smug prick from Cleveland undercutting their proposal. I nodded, throat tight, as guilt coiled like smoke. One night, after too many IPAs at a rooftop party in Bushwick, Jordan cornered me by the railing. Tell me you don't feel it, he whispered, lips inches from mine, the city lights blurring into a halo. I shoved him back, but the seed was planted: doubt, desire, the what-ifs I'd buried under Alex's love. Weeks blurred into a dangerous dance. I'd cancel plans with Alex for client meetings, stealing hours with Jordan at hidden speakeasies where jazz drowned our whispers. It wasn't sex. Not yet. But the intimacy was a blade. Shared laughs over high school follies, his head on my shoulder during a screening of Brokeback Mountain at an indie theater. Tears we both pretended weren't for us. Alex grew distant, buried in deadlines, his touches perfunctory. You okay? He'd ask, eyes on his laptop, and I'd lie with a kiss, the betrayal a stone in my gut. The unraveling started small. A forgotten jacket at Jordan's hotel during a business trip to Chicago, which Alex found stuffed in my gym bag. Old flame? He joked, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. I deflected with a story about a college buddy, but the lie hung heavy. Then came the emails, Jordan's firm poaching Alex's top designer, whispers of corporate sabotage that pinned the blame on insider leaks. Paranoia seeped in. Alex's late nights turned accusatory. Who's the ghost haunting you? Tim, you've been elsewhere. I doubled down, planning a surprise weekend in the Hamptons, sunsets, no phones, just us reclaiming the spark. But Jordan called the morning we were set to leave. I need to see you. One last time. Before I transfer back to Ohio. His voice broke, and mine did too. I told Alex the drive would take longer, detoured to a motel off the lie where regret tasted like salt. Jordan's kiss was fire, undoing years in a frenzy of hands and heat, the kind of reckless that leaves marks. I love you, he gasped, and I echoed it, traitor to my bones. Back in the city, the facade cracked. Alex greeted me with a forced smile, our getaway postponed by his emergency meeting. Guilt gnawed. I poured it into a canvas, strokes of crimson and shadow that Alex praised as your best yet. But eyes lie, and his held storms brewing. The dinner that night, the one with the tomatoes and the knife, was meant to be amends. My apology in garlic and wine, his forgiveness in candlelight. Jordan's text buzzed mid-chop. Can't stop thinking about last night. When? I deleted it, but the door clicked open unannounced, spare key turning like fate's cruel joke. And there they were, Alex, holding me as if I were his anchor, smiling at Jordan with the cold triumph of a winner. Too late to cry now, isn't it? The words landed, and the world shattered. Jordan's duffel hit the floor with a thud that echoed my heartbeat. His face draining of color as he stared at the tableau, me, rigid in Alex's embrace, the cutting board a crime scene of red streaks and scattered basil leaves. The kitchen light buzzed overhead, fluorescent and unforgiving, casting long shadows that twisted us into caricatures of heartbreak. Timmy, what the? Jordan stammered, stepping forward, but Alex's chuckle sliced the air, low and laced with something darker than amusement. Stay right there, Ellis, Alex said, his chin resting on my shoulder, one hand splayed possessively across my chest as if marking territory. You've got impeccable timing. Door was unlocked. Figured you'd slink in eventually, sniffing around like a lost dog. His words dripped venom, but his body against mine was deceptively tender, thumb stroking my ribcage in a rhythm that mocked our intimacy. I wanted to wrench free, to scream that this wasn't what it looked like, but my voice lodged in my throat, choked by the truth it would unleash. Jordan's eyes darted between us, confusion hardening into hurt. Alex? You're... You know, he laughed, bitter and disbelieving, rubbing his jaw as if expecting another punch from a decade ago. Tim, tell me this is some fucked up joke. You said, you swore it was over with him. The accusation hung, and I flinched, the nick on my thumb throbbing in sympathy. Over? With Alex, the man who'd rebuilt me brick by brick? Or with Jordan, the boy who'd first cracked me open? Poured out then, a dam breaking in sobs and shouts. I twisted in Alex's arms, not away, but toward him, searching his face for the man I'd loved. How long? I whispered, voice raw. His smile faltered, just a flicker, before stealing back into place. Long enough to know you were slipping, Tim. Coffee meetings, late nights at the office. You think I didn't notice the lipstick on your collar? Wait, no, that's not right. It's cologne, isn't it? His. He nodded at Jordan, who recoiled as if slapped. The pieces clicked, jagged and cruel. Alex's sudden interest in my phone, the casual questions about old friends from Ohio. He'd hacked my emails weeks ago, found the threads with Jordan, the hotel receipts, the aching confessions. Instead of confrontation, he'd played puppet master, feeding the fire to watch it consume us. I followed you to the motel, he admitted, green eyes gleaming with a zealot's fire. Watched you two fumble like teenagers. Broke my heart, babe. But then I thought, why fight it? Let the past have its fun. See if you choose right. Jordan lunged then, fists clenched, but I stepped between them, palms up like a referee in hell. Stop, both of you, God. Just stop. My voice cracked, tears hot on my cheeks. The irony bitter. Here I was, the betrayer turned betrayed, caught in a love triangle sharpened to shivs. Alex's hold slackened, but he didn't release me entirely. It was as if he needed the contact to ground his rage, or perhaps to remind me of the tether. You think this is about him? He hissed, nodding at Jordan. It's about us, Tim. The life we built. And you, throwing it away for a high school hallucination. The argument spilled into the living room, our sanctuary of mismatched throw pillows and framed photos. Us at Pride, rainbow flags whipping in the wind. A candid of me sketching in Central Park, his chin on my knee. Jordan paced like a caged wolf, defending with fragments. I came back for him, Alex, to fix what I broke. You don't get to play God with that. Alex countered with facts, cold as ledgers. The loft we'd toured last month, deposit down. The ring he'd eyed in Tiffany's window, promise unspoken but glittering. I sank onto the couch, head in hands, the weight of their voices a cacophony. Flashbacks assaulted me. Jordan's prom night flinch, the way he'd whispered, "I'm sorry," into my hair before driving away to college. Alex's first, "I love you," murmured over Eggs Benedict at a diner in Red Hook, sunlight gilding his lashes. How had I let nostalgia erode the now? Guilt twisted, but so did anger, at Jordan for resurfacing like a bad sequel, at Alex for this orchestrated cruelty, at myself for the weakness that invited it all. Dawn crept in through the blinds, painting stripes of gold across the carpet strewn with takeout menus and a forgotten sketchpad. Jordan slumped in the armchair, defeated, his suit rumpled like his resolve. I should go, he muttered, but his eyes begged me to protest. Alex, ever the showman, released me fully then, crossing to the window with a sigh that echoed theatrical. Yeah, run back to Cleveland, buddy. Tell your boardroom bros how the big city chewed you up. But as Jordan gathered his bag, Alex turned to me, voice softening to the timbre I knew from lazy Sundays. Tim, baby, choose. Him, or the mess we've made worth saving. The silence stretched, taut as a wire. I looked at Jordan, the boy who'd taught me love's sharp edges, his face a map of regrets I'd traced in dreams. Then Alex, the man who'd sanded them smooth, now jagged with his own wounds. I need time, I said finally, the words a lifeline tossed into the abyss. Jordan nodded, slipping out with a ghost of a kiss on my knuckles. Call me when you're ready. The door clicked shut, leaving the echo of his footsteps fading down the stoop. Alex and I circled each other like wary cats, the air thick with unspoken indictments. He poured coffee, black and scalding, handing me a mug with fingers that trembled slightly. I didn't mean for it to go like this, he admitted, sinking beside me. I was hurt, Tim. Scared you'd leave for real. So I pushed. Thought if I made it ugly, you'd see the truth. His confession cracked something in me. Not forgiveness, not yet, but understanding. Betrayal's sting was mutual. We'd both wielded it like weapons, cutting deepest because we knew where to aim. We talked till noon, words tumbling like laundry from a spin cycle. My loneliness in the grind of freelance gigs before him, how Jordan's return filled the voids Alex's ambition left. He owned his surveillance, the petty hacks born of insecurity from a string of exes who'd ghosted. I'm not proud, he said, as downcast, but losing you? That's the nightmare I can't wake from. Vulnerability stripped him bare, the ad exec facade crumbling to reveal the boy from Queens who'd hustled scholarships and side gigs to make it in the city that devours dreams. By evening, tentative peace settled, not mended, but bandaged. We ordered pizza from Luigi's, grease spotting the boxes as we laughed, haltingly, over the absurdity. A love triangle in the age of algorithms, where jealousy apps track more than steps. Sex followed, slow and reclaiming, his body a language of apologies pressed into my skin. I choose us, I whispered into the dark, meaning it in that fragile hour. But doubt lingered, a shadow at the edges, because Jordan's text buzzed at 2 a.m. I'm not giving up. Not this time. The weeks that followed were a tightrope. Therapy sessions in a walk-up on Atlantic Avenue, where Dr. Lena, a no-nonsense dyke with a buzz cut and zero patience for bullshit, probed our wounds like a surgeon. Betrayal's a cycle, she'd say, scribbling notes. Break it, or it breaks you. Alex threw himself into work, but with boundaries. No more snooping, full transparency on the app passwords we swapped like vows. I dove into art, channeling the chaos into a series of mixed media pieces, canvases layered with subway maps and Polaroids, titled Fault Lines. My first solo show loomed at a gallery in Dumbo, a milestone Alex championed with flyers taped to every lamppost in the neighborhood. Jordan didn't vanish cleanly. He emailed professional overtures, collabs on ad campaigns that blurred lines, then personal pleas. Lunch, neutral ground. I declined, but the pull was magnetic, especially on nights when Alex crashed early, buried in mock-ups. One blustery November afternoon, weakness one, we met at a park in Prospect, benches slick with fallen leaves. I ended it with the firm, he said, handing me a steaming cider. Transferred out. But Tim must? That's not a job I can quit. His honesty disarmed. Stirring embers I'd banked. We walked, shoulders brushing, the city an indifferent witness. He spoke of growth therapy in Ohio, owning his cowardice, the hollow echo of a life without risk. You were my North Star, he said, halting by a gnarled oak. Still are. The kiss that followed was inevitable, soft as snowfall, but I pulled back, heart hammering. I can't, I said, though every fiber screamed liar. Not like this. Driving home through traffic-clogged streets, guilt gnawed anew. Alex waited with wine and a smile that didn't quite hide the strain. Good day? He asked, and I nodded, the lie a pebble in my shoe. That night, as rain lashed the windows, the dam broke again, not with shouts, but tears. I confessed the park, the kiss, the temptation that clawed despite everything. Alex listened, face unreadable, then pulled me close. We're human, Tim. Messy as fuck. But I love you, the whole goddamn mosaic. Forgiveness isn't linear. It's a spiral, dipping into dark and climbing toward light. We set rules. No contact with Jordan. Joint sessions ramped up. The show opened to murmurs of acclaim. Alex beaming from the front row, his hand in mine an anchor amid the swirl of critics and champagne flutes. But as confetti settled, an envelope waited in my locker, Jordan's handwriting, a single ticket to Ohio, scrawled note, one chance to rewrite the ending. December cloaked Brooklyn in tinsel and chill, fairy lights strung like veins across brownstones, pulsing with the false cheer of holiday bustle. Our apartment smelled of pine from the tree we'd wrestled up 3 flights, ornaments clinking like wind chimes as Alex hung a star shaped like the Brooklyn Bridge. To new beginnings, he toasted with eggnog spiked heavy, his eyes reflecting the glow, cautious optimism, the kind forged in fire. I clinked back, but the envelope burned in my coat pocket. Jordan's words a siren call amid the Salvation Army bells tolling on corners. Therapy had become our religion, Sundays in DR. Lena's office a confessional booth where we unpacked the shrapnel. Boundaries aren't walls, she'd counsel, her voice gravelly from years of Marlboros. They're bridges. Build 'em strong, or watch 'em burn. Alex owned his manipulations, the thrill of control masking abandonment fears from a dad who'd bailed for Vegas showgirls. I dissected my nostalgia, how Jordan represented the unscarred boy I'd been. Before rejections, before the city's grind etched lines around my eyes. Progress felt tangible. Date nights at jazz dives in the village, where saxophones wailed our unspoken vows. Mornings tangled in flannel sheets, his laughter chasing away the ghosts. Yet the ticket loomed, paper talisman I couldn't discard. Jordan's emails trickled, professional at first, then laced with memory. Remember the lake house? Bet it's frozen over now. I blocked him, but screenshots haunted my deleted folder, pixels of blue eyes pleading. Alex sensed the undercurrent, his touches lingering longer, as if to imprint. What's eating you, babe? He'd ask over breakfast burritos from the bodega, and I'd deflect with sketches, lines blurring into abstractions of fractured hearts. The high tide of our reconciliation crashed on Christmas Eve. We'd hosted a ragtag party. Queer found family crammed into our living room. Marisol, the drag queen barista with a voice like velvet thunder. Theo, Alex's work buddy nursing a crush on the cater waiter. Laughter flowed with spiked punch. But midway through White Christmas on the ancient DVD player, my phone buzzed in the kitchen. Unknown number. Outside. Please. J. Heart slamming. I slipped onto the stoop, snowflakes melting on my lashes. Jordan stood under the street lamp, bundled in a peacoat dusted white, breath clouding like confessions. I couldn't stay away, he said, voice muffled by the flurry. Not with you so close. His hands cupped my face, cold thumbs tracing my jaw, and for a heartbeat, time folded, Ohio summers, stolen glances, the ache of what-ifs. The kiss was desperate, snow swirling witness, his lips tasting of peppermint and regret. But as his fingers knotted in my sweater, reality intruded. The party noise filtering through the door, Alex's laugh cutting sharp. I broke away, gasping. This ends it, Jordan. For good, he staggered back, eyes shattering like ice. Timmy, wait, I sold the ticket. Came to fight for us. Alex, he's poison, playing games while you bleed. The accusation landed, stirring the embers of doubt I doused. Was Alex's forgiveness genuine? Or a leash? Jordan pressed a crumpled photo into my palm. Us at 16, arms slung casual, grins wide as the world. Remember who you were with me. Inside, the party wound down, guests trickling into the night with hugs and Happy Hanukkah Kwanzaa Christmas mashups. Alex found me by the radiator, cheeks flushed from mulled wine. You okay? Looked like you saw a ghost. I nodded, pocketing the photo like contraband, but sleep evaded us. In the witching hour, confessions spilled anew. The kiss, the pull, the terror of choosing wrong. Alex's face hardened, then softened into sorrow. I can't compete with a memory, Tim. But I won't beg. He rolled away, back a wall, leaving me adrift in the sheets. New Year's dawned brittle, resolutions whispered over black coffee. We trudged to Times Square for the ball drop, a sea of humanity pressing close, but the countdown felt like a verdict. Confetti rained, and Alex kissed me at midnight, fierce, claiming, but his eyes held questions. Back home, unpacking the quiet, I confronted the envelope. I'm going, I said, voice steady for the first time. To Ohio. Not for him, for me. To close the door. Alex's nod was slow, pained. Go. But come back whole. The flight to Cleveland was turbulence incarnate, clouds boiling like my gut. Jordan met me at baggage claim, tentative smile belying the gauntness in his cheeks. We drove in silence to his childhood home, a split-level rancher on the outskirts, Christmas lights still twinkling defiantly. Inside, the air hummed with ghosts, faded photos on the mantel, my old mixtape in a drawer. Dinner was takeout Chinese, fortunes cracked open like eggs. A journey begins with one step. Love returns threefold. Talk turned excavation, his post-college spiral, marriages of convenience crumbling under authenticity's weight. My New York ascent, the loneliness masked by skyline glamour. I was wrong to come back, he admitted, eyes on the floor. Stirring up mud when you drained the pond, but as wine loosened tongues, old fires crackled. His hand on mine across the table, a brush that lingered. The bed he offered was the guest room, but midnight found me in his doorway, shadows pooling. Just talk, I said, and we did till dawn, bodies entwining like vines, sex a reclamation laced with farewell. Morning brought clarity, sharp as frost. This was goodbye, I told him over airport coffee. The photo returned like a relic. His nod was resolute. Write the ending you deserve, Timmy. The flight home lifted with the sun. Manhattan spires welcoming like old friends. Alex waited at JFK. Signs scrawled in Sharpie. Hargrove. Still mine? Laughter bubbled. Relief flooding as I fell into his arms. But homecoming's sour. The show's buzz had faded. A new client demanded Alex's soul. Nights stretching into voids. I threw myself into commissions, but inspiration faltered, lines flat as the doubt creeping back. Whispers from the gallery. A rival artist, Ethan Voss, poaching my thunder with pieces eerily similar. Subway motifs, fractured lovers. Paranoia echoed old sins. I scrolled Ethan's feed, spotting a tag, inspired by the master himself. Had Alex leaked sketches in some twisted bid for leverage? Confrontation erupted over reheated lasagna, accusations flying like shrapnel. You think I'd sabotage you? Alex roared, face thunderous. After everything? But his phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. Thanks for the tips, man. Oh, you. The world tilted again. Betrayal's echo chamber amplifying. Networking, Alex insisted, but his eyes darted. The same flicker from that kitchen night. I stormed out into the spring rain, pounding pavement to the bridge where we'd first said, forever, there. Soaked and shaking, the spiral tightened. Jordan's photo in my wallet, a talisman of escape. Call him? Bolt back to Ohio, where pains were familiar, or fight for the man who'd held me through storms, even if his grip sometimes bruised. Dr. Lena's words rang. Cycles break with choice. Dialing Alex, voice steady amid sobs. We end this properly. No more games. His reply was a whisper. Come home. Summer unfurled in humid waves. The city a steam bath of ambition and ache. Our reconciliation pact was ironclad. Weekly check-ins. A shared journal for the ugly truths. Pages filled with I felt invisible when. And your trust means. Alex quit the toxic agency, jumping to a nonprofit gig promoting queer youth programs. His fire redirected to causes that mirrored our scars. I curated a community mural in Bed-Stuy, hands stained with aerosol as neighborhood kids added their strokes. Vibrant declarations of survival, a collective exhale. Ethan Voss, a red herring, his tips innocuous feedback from a mutual friend. But the scare catalyzed change. We burned the journal in a fire pit at Coney Island, ashes scattering like absolved sins, toasting with Nathan's hot dogs and the cyclone screams. Laughter returned, genuine, threaded with wisdom. We're survivors, Alex said one twilight, feet dangling over the boardwalk edge. Not statues. Cracks let the light in. Jordan faded to a benevolent specter. A Christmas card arrived. Professional, warm, heard about the mural. Proud of you, always. J. No return address, but closure in the postmark from Seattle. A fresh start for him. I framed it beside our pride photo. A triptych of loves. First flame, enduring hearth, self-forged peace. Yet drama stalked, as it does in tales worth telling. Fall brought the verdict. My mural caught a curator's eye, earning a fellowship in LA 6 months at a residency. Palm trees and possibility. Alex's face lit with pride, but shadowed with the unspoken distance, the beast that devours. Go chase the dream, he urged over rooftop rows, skyline ablaze. I'll hold the fort, but packing boxes unearthed the knife from that fateful dinner, tucked in a drawer like a relic. I traced its edge, remembering blood and smiles, and wept, for the boy who'd wielded it, the man who'd endured. Departure day dawned golden, LaGuardia a swarm of farewells. Alex drove, hand on my thigh the whole way, radio crooning Bruce. Tramps like us, baby, we were born to run. At security, his kiss was a vow, salty with unsaid fears. 6 months is a blip, he murmured. Write me dirty letters. I laughed, boarding with a heart full to bursting. LA was reinvention. Sun-bleached studios in Silver Lake, collaborators who pushed my edges, collages of Hollywood ghosts and queer icons, layers peeling to reveal resilience. Emails with Alex flew like carrier pigeons, his nonprofit wins, a drag brunch scandal, my breakthroughs, a flirtation with a barista I shut down cold. Video calls bridged oceans, his face pixelated but beloved, pillow talk evolving into plans, a road trip post-fellowship, Route 66 in a convertible, chasing sunsets. Midway through, crisis struck back east. Alex's mom, the Catholic convert who'd warmed to us over years of awkward Thanksgivings, suffered a stroke. He flew home to Cleveland, irony's bite, nursing her through rehab while I paced Pacific Sands, powerless. She's tough, he texted, like us. But strain crept, missed calls, terse updates, the distance widening cracks. I cut the residency short, booking a red-eye on fumes and frequent flyer miles. Landing in the gray slush of a Midwest winter, I rented a car and drove straight to the hospital, heart a drumbeat. Alex looked wrecked in the fluorescent hall, stubble shadowing his jaw, eyes hollowed by vigils. Tim? He breathed, collapsing into me, sobs muffled in my hoodie. You came. The waiting room became our bunker. Vending machine coffee, his hand in mine as monitors beeped like metronomes. Mrs. Kane rallied, her grip weak but eyes sharp, whispering to me one afternoon. He needs you, lad. Don't let the miles lie. Recovery blurred into weeks. Me crashing on Jordan's old couch, fate's wink, now a neutral Airbnb. Alex shuttling between wards and work. We cooked for her. Irish stew bubbling with carrots from the farmer's market. Stories swapped over broth. You too, she rasped, smiling through pain. Remind me of young love. Messy, but magic. Discharge brought tentative normalcy. Her in a walker at their Queens Row house. Us tag-teaming PT sessions and grocery runs. One night, snow blanketing the stoop, Alex pulled me onto the fire escape for air. I almost lost her, he said, voice fracturing, and it hit me how fragile we are. You, flying out here. It was everything. His proposal followed, unscripted. Knee dropped on the rusty grating. A ring pilfered from her jewelry box, a simple gold band etched with shamrocks. Marry me, Timothy Hargrove? Not despite the chaos, but because of it. Tears froze on my lashes. Yes, I choked, pulling him up into a kiss that tasted a future. No fanfare, just us under the constellations, the city humming approval. Spring bloomed with weddings. Ours first, a backyard affair in Prospect Park. Marisol officiating in sequins, Theo toasting with limericks. Vows exchanged under dogwoods. I promise to hold you through betrayals, to smile at your ghosts, to choose us every dawn. Jordan sent a card from Seattle to New Chapters. With love, always. No bitterness, just grace. A nod to the boy who'd started it all. Years folded like origami. The loft traded for a fixer-upper in Crown Heights. Walls echoing with laughter and late-night arguments resolved in dawn walks. My art bloomed, galleries in Soho. A TEDx talk on queer resilience that went viral. Alex's nonprofit expanded. Chapters in Ohio even, bridging our origins. We adopted Milo, a scruffy mutt from the shelter, his wagging tail a daily reminder of joy's simplicity. The real climax came on our 5th anniversary, a quiet dinner at that same Soho bistro where we'd met. Midway through tiramisu, Alex slid an envelope across the table, plane tickets to Ohio, cabin by the lake. Full circle, he said. Grin wicked. No ghosts this time. Just us. We drove the rental through cornfields turned golden. The lake house unchanged save for fresh paint. Bonfire crackled that night. Stars pricking the velvet sky as we danced slow to a portable speaker. Nirvana unplugged. Ironic and apt. Tell me, he murmured, chin on my shoulder, if you could rewrite it all? I pulled back, hazel eyes meeting green. I wouldn't. Every cut, every cry, it led here. His smile was the one from that kitchen nightmare, but redeemed, tender, triumphant. Too late to cry now, isn't it? We laughed, the sound mingling with cricket chorus, a harmony of scars sung sweet. In America's heartland, far from the canyons that shaped us, we found the human truth. Love isn't absence of betrayal, but presence through it, forged in fire, tempered by time, a story without end, only deeper chapters.